Jesus' command over angels, evidence of his divinity. One of the unique attributes of God in the Bible is his supreme authority over all creation, including angels. In both the Old and New Testaments, angels are described as God's servants who carry out his will. Psalm 103:20. However, in the New Testament, Jesus is repeatedly shown exercising authority over angels, further affirming his divinity. If Jesus were not God, such authority would be inappropriate, as angels serve God alone. Biblical evidence of Jesus' command over angels. Jesus sends angels at his command. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness. Matthew 13:41. In this parable, Jesus refers to angels as his angels, and declares that he will send them to execute judgment. This aligns with God's authority in the Old Testament, where angels are depicted as instruments of divine justice, e.g., Genesis 19:13, Psalm 103:20. Jesus will command angels at his return. For the Son of Man will come in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Matthew 25:31. At his second coming, Jesus will be accompanied by all the angels and will take his seat as judge of the world. The angels' presence at his command and their participation in his mission demonstrate his divine authority. Jesus' authority over angelic hosts. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? Matthew chapter 26:53. When Jesus is arrested, he reminds his disciples that he has the power to summon vast armies of angels. This statement underscores his control over heavenly beings, which only God possesses. Jesus commands angels to aid believers. Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Hebrews 1:14. While angels are sent by God, Jesus is shown directing their ministry, including their role in serving believers. This reflects his divine oversight. Angels worship Jesus. Let all God's angels worship him. Hebrews chapter 1:6, quoting Deuteronomy 32:43. Angels worship only God. Revelation 19:10. The fact that they worship Jesus demonstrates his equality with God and confirms his divine nature. Theological implications. Angels are depicted throughout the Bible as God's loyal servants, carrying out his commands with reverence and fear. The authority to command angels and receive their worship belongs exclusively to God. Jesus' consistent exercise of this authority reveals that he is more than a prophet or teacher. He is God himself. The fact that angels obey Jesus' commands and worship him indicates that they recognize his divine nature. If Jesus were not God, angels would not and could not serve or worship him, as this would contradict their loyalty to Yahweh. Challenges for skeptics and non-believers. Why are angels called his angels? In Matthew 13:41, Jesus refers to angels as his angels. If Jesus is not divine, how can angels belong to him when they are described in Scripture as God's servants? Psalm 103:20. Who else commands angels? The Old Testament consistently portrays God as the one who commands angels. Psalm 91:11. How can Jesus exercise this authority if he is not God? Why do angels worship Jesus? Angels worship only God. Revelation 19:10. How can Hebrews 1:6 command them to worship Jesus unless he is God? What does Jesus' authority over angels at his return mean? In Matthew 25:31, Jesus is depicted as commanding all the angels at his second coming. How can this be reconciled with the idea that he is merely a human or created being? How can Jesus summon angelic armies? In Matthew 26:53, Jesus claims the ability to summon 12 legions of angels. What created being has such power over heavenly hosts? Why are angels sent to serve believers at Jesus' direction? Hebrews 1:14 describes angels as ministering spirits. If they are sent by Jesus, what does this imply about his divine role in directing angelic activity? Why does Jesus include angels in judgment? In Matthew 13:41, Jesus sends angels to remove the wicked from his kingdom. How can he involve angels in the judgment process unless he possesses divine authority? Why do angels accompany Jesus at his return? Matthew 24:31 states that Jesus will send angels to gather the elect at his return. Why would angels follow the commands of anyone less than God? How do you explain the consistency across Scripture? The Bible consistently portrays angels as God's servants, yet they obey and worship Jesus. How can this be explained without acknowledging his divinity? What other figure commands angels? Throughout Scripture, no human or created being commands angels or is worshipped by them. How can skeptics reconcile this unique authority if Jesus is not God?